Welcome to Expand, Dominate, and Profit. I'm your host, Aaron Ryan, and today I have a awesome guest, Jay Bourgana out of Orange County, California, and Homearly Realty. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, the pleasure's all ours. So Jay is one of the few people that I've heard of in the industry, let alone guests that I've had on the show, that have successfully built up a real estate sales team, not a brokerage, a real estate sales team, and sold that team off. And I know a lot of listeners out there have wanted to know the secret sauce to making that happen. So we'll talk about that here in a bit. But Jay, for those of us that aren't familiar with you, maybe tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Morocco. I was born and raised there. I worked for a French bank in Morocco for a couple of years, and I worked for them in Europe for another 3 years. I was in Paris, I was in Brussels, and then I decided to move to the United States to pursue the American dream, and landed in California, and started working in manufacturing, of all things, because I wanted to learn business in the United States. I worked here for about a couple of years, and then I spent 3 years in China with the same company. I ran a 1 million square foot facility with 3,000 people that worked there, lived there, ate there, did everything there, and it was like one of the most amazing experiences of my life. From there, after 2007, we had the big crash. We were in the home good manufacturing products, gift products, so we were right at the eye of the storm. I end up moving from that industry into plastic injection molding manufacturing, but also with a twist of more of a consultant type base. So I would go from facility to facility, factory to factory, from state to state, and do operational turnaround. So I'll go to facilities that are losing money and help them make money within 6 months. And I did that for about 5 years until I got tired of living in hotels and being in places all over the world and the country. And so I wanted to be more stable. So I took a year off and moved to Long Beach, California, and start buying condos a block, 2 blocks from the beach. At the time, it was still about 2011, 2012. The market was still soft. You could still pick up a 2-bedroom condo for $50,000 to $80,000. And so I picked up a few of them and then rehabbed them. And I saw the value increase, and I caught the real estate bug. And silly me, I equated real estate investing to real estate sales. And I went and got my license, and I joined a Century 21 office to learn the business of real estate. And right. In hindsight, I should have just went and got a investor coaching type education, but that's not here or there. But so I went the other route. So I learned real estate sales. I never had consumer business B2C sales experience before, so that was a very good intro. And just hit the phone. The broker was primarily listing focused. They would not let you work with buyers. And they gave us a Mike Ferry seller script. They gave us a list of the phone numbers of the homeowners in the area, and they showed us where the phone was. And wow. People were calling a couple hours a week. I was calling 7, 8 hours, 10 hours a day for 7 days a week, for about 18 months. And that's how I built my business. After about 12 months, I started seeing momentum. But at the same time, I was having a child, and I kind of getting burned out. So I picked an assistant at the office who was super nice and very knowledgeable, and I trusted that he would take care of my clients and would not do any harm. And I literally gave him my phone, and I gave him a list of my listings, and I told him, okay, everything, handle everything. I'll split 50-50 with you. I'm going to go to Paris for a couple months. And essentially, I just took my 9-month baby and my wife and went to Paris and did a little bit of rehab, mental recovery for myself. And then when I came back, the guy did an amazing job, sold everything. I had a couple of properties that were sitting literally on the railroad, and they sold. And I didn't think they would sell, but they actually sold. And I thought, okay, maybe now it's time to start leveraging and start hiring people. And so essentially that's what I did. I invested in hiring an operations person. I invested in hiring a marketing person. I hired a couple of buyers agents, and we started investing in internet lead generation. And that's where we took off. We grew. And my first year, I sold about 10 homes. Second year, we sold 30. The following 90. The following 180. And then around that fourth year is when we were approached by a big independent company that's does about $5-6 billion in real estate sales in our market. And they thought of us as, they thought that we were an independent brokerage. And then once they talked to us, they figured we were a team, but they still were interested in our model. And essentially they acquired us, and that was it.
You did all that in 4 years?
Yes.
Incredible. So when did you first get your real estate license?
Around 2013.
So you haven't even been a realtor that long. I mean, in the grand scheme, good for you.
Correct.
So tell us about, so you started off as a team at Century 21, or you kind of started forming your team over
independent there? No, I was an independent at the time. I actually moved to another local independent broker because they had a little bit lower fee, but they had multiple offices within the market that I was going to move into. And because what I found, I was living in one area, the beach area, and I really wanted to make it work in the beach area. But for some reason, all my business was a little bit more inland in the suburbs. So I essentially decided to, give up after a year of hitting my head against the wall, trying to sell the beach, and I moved inland. And that's when things opened up. So I moved another brokerage that had multiple offices in that same market for a couple of years before I moved to Keller Williams right after.
Got it. And so tell us about your team. So you started off with an assistant and a marketing person, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I hired an ops person. So they essentially did everything from transaction coordination to administrative stuff, paperwork, everything A to Z. And then the second hire around the same time, it was a marketing person.
What'd you have the marketing person do?
Well, everything from recreating our website, designing our graphics, doing our ads, doing our retargeting ads, doing our social media, building campaigns within our CRM, structuring our CRM properly, monitoring the conversions on our, on everything that we do. So we just wanted to create a branded identity for the, so that was kind of like the beginning. I was thinking I need to create a company, a business that's going to be sellable at something. And so from the beginning, I'm thinking I need to create this brand identity that is going to be clean, that has a message, that has a message that's going to be effective for the consumer as well as recruits. And
Excellent.
so from the beginning, we went, marketing was a big piece of what we were doing in terms of giving an image to the vision that we're trying to build.
Incredible. You kind of went into the business with the end in mind.
Correct. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So from the beginning, I wasn't interested in just being a real estate agent. I was interested in building a real estate business. And I knew that, whether I wanted to sell it or not, I knew that I needed to build a sellable business. And because just by the fact that you're thinking of building a sellable business, the things that you're going to do, the activities that you're going to take, the decisions you're going to make to build a sellable business is going to make that business a thriving business.
Right. So when you sold your real estate team in 2017, was it?
18, yeah. 17, 18, yes. Yeah, around that same.
So in 2017, 2018, what did your real estate team look like when you sold it?
At the time of the sale, we were about 14, 15 people selling about $150 million worth of real estate, $180 million worth of real estate.
Okay. And how many, so did you have buyer's agents and listing agents? Or?
Yeah, so we had, correct. So the majority, probably about 12 buyer's agents and 3 listing agents.
Wow, 12 buyer listing. Okay. So when you looked at what did your admin staff look like at that time?
We still had the same one person with a couple virtual assistants.
That's great. That's a good admin that can process 150 million or 180 million with one person. That's the kind of admin that you want. If anybody out there is listening, that's the admin you want. Get her name if you want somebody who's good, because that's incredible. Um, so when you sat back and you looked at your business, right? Because you had 15 brokers doing $180 million worth of real estate. That's fantastic production. What what was the value proposition for agents looking to join your team? Like what if I was an agent in the Long Beach or Orange County market, why would I say, I need to join Jay over at Homearly? What was your value
Yeah.
proposition?
So we're very specific. Our value proposition only speaks to a certain profile of people. So that's to begin with. Our value proposition is very simple. Our company values are about growth and contribution. So we need people that are driven by growth, that people that want to learn, they want to develop, and growth in every aspect of their life, whether it is financial, health, knowledge, spiritual, all the above. People that are driven by growth are attracted to what we do, because we're doing things differently every 6 months. We don't recognize ourselves after 6 months. That's the type of person that we want, that's willing to transform with us, within every year. And then contribution, people that care more about people, care more about the community, care more about the client than they care about the paycheck. So we're willing to walk away from dollars to help our clients, to serve our clients, to do. So that's the type of person that we're looking for, and that's the type of company that we've built. And so we're all about those two components. And if someone does not fit, if someone is a fit, it's a no-brainer. That person's gonna join. That's gonna be with us. If someone is not a fit, they're not a fit. It's okay. That's why we are highly productive. Our agents are very productive, in the dollar sense. They're very productive in their life. They're able to, to acquire assets, to change their life, to change their family's lives, to essentially build a legacy for their family. So, yes.
Building a business is all, a lot of people lose focus of this, but it all starts with generating leads, right? And generating people to talk to. So I know a lot of people out there listening to this are like, how does this guy get from $0 to 180 million in 5 years, number one, and then sell his company, number two? It has to start with having enough clients, building enough of a base, getting your name out there. What were some of the main pillars of business for you guys while you were building the business?
So again, it's part of like our value proposition is growth. So I was reinvesting every dollar into the business. We ate a lot of ramen and rice and beans in the first couple of years. No, I'm just kidding. Metaphorical ramen. I don't. I like really good bowl of ramen, but yeah, it's essentially we were lean the first 2-3 years, and we were reinvesting everything back in the business and everything back in the team. And we were very aggressive. Essentially, we gave every marketing strategy enough time to track and to be able to see whether it works or not. A lot of people, they start like a month or two and then they stop. And there's no way you can see results in a month or two. You got to give it at least 18 months. Our business is not a quick, buy a widget type. It's not like buying a car. You go, you get a lead, you either buy or not. A house, it's a very emotional purchase, and it takes a long time to process that emotion. So we invested in a lot of different marketing things. We've done everything. We've done online, offline. We've done billboards. We've done celebrity endorsements. We did bus benches, bus shelters. We did the carts in the store. We did the flyers, the mailers, the postcards, the handwritten letters. Everything you can think of, we've done it.
Okay.
But we gave it enough time to show results. And then we analyzed the ROI over 18 months. And then we made a decision. There's no one way of doing it. There are certain ways that work for certain people. And even within our teams, there's certain agents within our team that do well with certain sources of leads. That other agents don't do well. So we just need to identify those things, and then identify who we have as a team, and who the type of people we need to attract to our organization, and how do we create a culture that's going to keep them within the organization. So So essentially, so from that perspective, if you think about business in general, as part of my experience in consulting, the way I used to do this is we would go and talk to the client and then find out what they want. And then go back to our operation and then tell them, okay, how do we do that? How do we build that? Let's create a process to build that. And we set the process in place to achieve what, Walmart, Target, or any other customers that we had at the time wanted. And essentially, once we have the process, then we identify what the job descriptions within that process. You needed clean job descriptions where people are not stepping on each other's feet. And then once you have the job descriptions, then you identify the profile of the person you need in that job. And then once you have the process, you have the jobs, now you need to put the technology on top and see how can we help these people speed up that process so you can do more. And then once you have the technology on top, then you need supervision, which is accountability. And how do we lay out accountability to keep people doing what they know they already need to do? And then once you have the accountability, then you identify the profile of the people and you figure out what is the culture you have here. Do these people like to eat tacos on Friday, or they like pizza? Do they like to go, bowling, or they like to go night clubbing, or do they like to go pool, or they like to be outside hiking? So what is it that they like to do? And that becomes the culture of that team. And then once you figure out what the culture, then you figure out the top management that's going to keep it all together. And then once you do that, then you move on to the next thing.
That's incredible. That's great advice. Culture is always important, right? And one of the things that I've learned over expanding our real estate team, into multiple markets, was that culture had to be able to expand as we expanded, right? I mean, and a lot of times I have, limited touch, because we have offices. I'm out on the West Coast and we have offices on the East Coast. And, it's tough to duplicate that culture, but it's one of the most important things in running the business. Yeah. Was your real estate team just in one market, or were you in multiple markets?
Well, we had, so we were in one big market, but we had multiple offices. And I'll give you the way I think of, culture, expanding the culture. So culture in general, let's just say with one place first. When you have one location, the way I think of culture is kind of like having a garden. And you cannot just say the garden's going to grow on its own. I'm just going to throw some seeds and put some water and it's going to figure out. No, you got to be there, watch it, pull the weeds out, organize things, put the little sticks on the little trees, keep things cleaned up, make sure that these are the tomatoes over here and this over here and this over here. And you have to watch it literally on a daily basis. And you have to pull the weeds, a lot of pulling the weeds. And that's the stuff that kind of pops, that's anti-culture, that you have to really, squash real quick, and you have to protect the culture. Essentially, that's what you're doing. When you're pulling the weed, you're protecting the culture. And, for you to do the same thing in multiple locations, you either have to go yourself, or you have to have someone who understands that process, what it takes to, to really nurture that garden. Right. And so unless someone has been with you for a while and seen you nurture that garden, pulling the weeds, cleaning the leaves and cutting and putting they're not going to get it. And if you put someone from outside or someone that doesn't understand that process, you're just going to have, a bunch of weed and a bunch of trees. And you may get lucky and get something, but most likely it won't be as productive. And so to me, it's so important. It's a hands-on process. A lot of people think of it as it's some thing that just happens. It doesn't happen like that. If you go to, if you go anywhere and you see a beautiful garden, that beautiful garden does not exist in nature. There's an obsessive gardener. That's an obsessive compulsive gardener that's sitting there making sure you get the right balance between these flowers and these plants, and that these plants are not eating these other plants. And you know what I mean? So it's so important. And so you need an obsessive compulsive person on your team that's managing that culture. Absolutely. Just like anything else.
You got to work at it like everything else in our business, right?
Yes.
So Jay, lots of team leaders that listen to us, right? Lots of people who own brokerages that listen to us. Some of them may be thinking about trying to put themselves in a position to sell, right? Yeah. They want to do what you did. Yeah. What advice, what tips would you have for somebody who's thinking about trying to build their company to sell it?
Yeah. So so let's look at it from the buyer perspective. When someone buys a company, they're buying essentially cash flow. And that cash flow, when you sell it, and when they're looking at the quality of the cash flow, they're looking at it from, what is the risk and what is the sustainability of this cash flow? So what you want to do as a seller, you want to eliminate the risk. And so where does usually risk come from in cash flow in the business? It comes from, what if the manager leaves, the team or leader, and everything falls apart, right?
Right.
Or you have, or maybe the team leader is doing 80% of the business or 50% of the business. If he leaves, lost 50% or 80% of the business.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or maybe the people that are the team, the staff, maybe the operations person, the marketing person, the team leaders are not good enough to be able to sustain the operation and the growth of the operation and that cash flows. So essentially, that's how you want to reverse engineer it. So if you can build your business in a way that provides a certain amount of cash flows, and that provides security and certainty of those cash flows over the next 3 to 4 years, then that's a sellable business. So from my perspective, my goal is to take myself from the beginning. How quickly can I take myself out of production?
Right.
So from the day one, I'm working. So what that means, I needed to sacrifice some of that, and some of that net profit, right? So
Absolutely.
it's a decision that you make, 4 or 5 years prior to selling. It's not something that you do the day you sell. You don't just say, oh, well, now I'm not the one who does the listings. No, you need to have done it for 3 or 4 years before, built the listing, team that does that. And then, I'm not the one who writes the property description. I'm not the one who negotiates every contract. I'm not the one who negotiates every repair request. So how do I get myself out of the business? How do I distribute so my business is distributed, is not affected by one agent? I don't have high concentration where one agent does 30% of my business. That doesn't, how do I have low concentration of the business? And then how do I have a good team that's going to be manage it all? That's going to be able to, we have, a team leader that does the accountability. We have a team leader that does the training. We have, an ops person that makes sure that the contracts are clean and that we're not doing any, funky, stuff on our counters. We have a marketing person that's looking at the CRM, that's looking at the content that's being pushed out. So we have a person that's dedicated to putting the signs and taking pictures, doing this, doing that. So everything is automated in a way, and it's specialized in a way where, if I'm out somewhere else, if I get hit by a metaphorical bus, the business still grows. It still keeps going.
That's excellent advice. Excellent advice. Well, Jay, you've definitely given our listeners something to think about today. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. Jay, if anybody wants to get a hold of you to talk to you about coaching, I know you're into that now, consulting, they want to talk to you about, building a business to sell it. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. I'm everywhere online, Jay Bourgana. I can give you my email and phone number, and they can probably check your, the website, and I'm happy to connect with people. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Anybody trying to reach me, feel free to call me at the office. You can always email me at info@thebrokeragerealtors.com. And Jay, again, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you having me.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.